Okay, we're going to talk about Concept Development 3, which is an option module for our final year students. So this is for second year students who are thinking about choices for final year, or students out on placement who want to come back. So Carlo, if you could describe your module in one sentence, please.
So this module in particular is a wonderful opportunity to learn how to develop advanced concepts through an iterative process of prototyping and player testing, and focusing heavily on the psychology of player engagement.
So if we go to the prototyping iteration, does it have to be a digital prototype?
It has to be a digital prototype. Well, the idea of prototyping, that's one of the big things that students learn, is that there is a difference between demoing and prototyping. So one of the important things here is that students learn that they have to, as they design a game, they have to think about key features and why they should be engaging for players. And one of the things that they learn are key theories that could allow designers to expect some effects as they design some game features. So as they do, as designers, in this case students, design those features, they should justify why those features should be interesting, should be engaging and motivating for players. And then they should decide the best way to prototype those features. So they should come up with a set of prototypes rather than one single prototype. And some of those sets could actually use non-digital games or non-digital technologies such as card games and things like that.
Yeah. So it's figuring out if it's going to be fun before building it, then building it, and then testing it to see if it was fun. If fun was the main driver.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So who might choose it? So the other options would be Advanced Viz, Advanced 3D, Advanced Prototyping. So if Concept Dev 3 is there, who's likely to pick it?
So it's definitely game designers who are interested in enhancing their capability to control the designs. So to make informed choices, to formulate what we call design hypotheses as to why some features should work given a certain target audience, and designers who are interested in learning how to engage in player testing, so how to develop questionnaires or protocols for observations, what to look at, why, and so on and so forth. Also with an eye on economy, in the sense of how much time they have to gather data, to really go to the most important things, watch and observe the most important aspects of the player experience, and then inform their design decisions.
So you mentioned psychology before.
Yes.
If a student has not done any psychology before, should that concern them? How much psychology is in it, I suppose?
Not at all. Well, actually, what we do is starting from scratch. So we introduce some theories which are, although they are very important, they are quite intuitive. So what we found actually is that students who have attended this module in the past find that what they explore somehow echoes some intuitions that they already had, and allows them to better understand why certain things work one way or another way. And again, this is not about reading psychology books, so also the information that we choose and we use is very carefully selected in a compact way, presented in a compact way, and then applied. And so one of the important things is that we see the practical implication and relevance of theories. It makes sense as you explore these kind of things theoretically, and then it makes more sense as you apply and see what happens as you apply them.
Awesome. Let's talk about a typical session. So one of the normal. Is it studio or is it lecture tutorial?
It's a hybrid.
Yeah. So, but it's called studio on a timetable.
Yes,
but then you use
absolutely.
it as you see fit. Yeah.
Yes,
Cool.
because there's never purely passive sessions.
Yeah.
So what we do normally is discussing some key topics. I would present some theories, and then we would, in this particular case, being this a final year module, I would actually ask students to think about those theories and discuss some examples that they might bring to me. And so that's a typical kind of activity that we do as we introduce the knowledge. And then another typical type of activity are showcases with peer assessment and peer review of games. And that actually includes testing. So besides students finding their own testers outside the sessions, they also have an opportunity to run playtesting sessions during the sessions as well. And the final one are workshops during which we actually revise and evaluate their work and help them to polish not just the contents, but also the way they present, organizing documentation, referencing, creating appropriate appendices to have something that should fit 3,000 words, and right now it's 15,000, and these kind of things that you have to learn as well.
So it's a little bit of critique, I guess, in that.
Yes,
in that,
absolutely. That's quite important.
Yeah, cool. So you've already mentioned the 3,000. So if we talk about how it's going to be assessed.
Yes. So there is an individual project. The individual project consists in actually developing a game design specification, a project, i.e. a number of prototypes for the concept that is specified in that specification. And then there should be a demonstration that actually that concept has been iteratively developed through at least 2 iterations. Then besides this, there is a project journal. And so the project journal consists of 3 entries. Normally we have one final summative submission at the end of the module, and then we have 2 formative milestones. For each milestone, either formative or summative, there is one project journal entry. And project journal entries are useful to capture students' ability to reflect on what they're doing, what went right, what went wrong, and how they've been doing things and why.
So it sounds a bit like the second year version of the module, but with more justification, more research, and more of it. Right? Yeah, is that
Absolutely,
right? So, but then we've got the 2 formatives as you go through, and then the big summative at the end. So
absolutely. Ideally, it's a pathway that develops and unfolds through the second year and the final year.
So anybody who's done games analysis in the second year, it'll be similar.
Yes.
An evolution of that.
An evolution of that. So
okay.
there would be the perception of greater depth into some specific topics related to engagement, and there would be also this perception of continuing and evolving.
Okay, awesome. And then I guess finally, have you got any examples that we can discuss?
Yes, just to give an idea of what can happen in these modules, I can mention, for example, one of the students is actually developing a music game, which is an FPS, and the idea is that the music component, initially in the ideas of this student, the music component was meant to regulate the right timing for the shooting. So you shoot keeping the tempo, and then it's going to be fine. But then if you don't, then it's going to be bad. And by thinking about desirable effect on player engagement and the motivation element, this student actually ended up realizing that that was a bit of underplaying the element of music, and maybe the behavior of enemies could be more strongly influenced by music. And then why not coordinating synchronized action with musical patterns so that players could anticipate the patterns, what they learned at, and then by anticipating musical patterns, they can actually anticipate enemies' behaviors. So that is actually about getting into the player mindset, expecting what players might be thinking about and feeling about, and then tuning the game accordingly.
That sounds pretty cool. Okay, thank you. So that hopefully will help any second years who are thinking about choosing Concept Dev 3 for their final year. So
Great.